Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when the weight on our shoulders feels unbearable. The days seem long, the nights restless, and our hearts feel like they're carrying a storm. In these times, the idea of happiness feels distant, almost like a cruel joke. But I am here to tell you something that might seem unusual. Force yourself to be happy. No, I'm not saying ignore your pain. I'm saying fight through it. Because happiness isn't always a spontaneous emotion. It's often a deliberate decision. Life doesn't always give you a reason to smile. Sometimes you have to create your own reasons. When darkness surrounds you, become your own light. Force a smile, even if it feels fake. Get up, even when your body wants to quit. Dance, even when there's no music. Because the act of choosing joy, even artificially at first, can lead to genuine healing. This isn't about pretending everything is okay. This is about reclaiming your power. About saying, yes, life is heavy, but I am stronger. You weren't born to break under pressure. You were born to rise. And here's the truth. You may not feel the happiness immediately, but with every effort you make to push back against the darkness, smiling, moving forward, showing gratitude, you are rewiring your brain, retraining your spirit, and reigniting your fire. So today, and every day, force yourself to be happy, not because life is perfect, but because you are worth fighting for. We often fall into the trap of believing that happiness is something that happens to us, that it's something we must wait for, something that only comes when everything in life is going right. When we get the job, when the relationship works out, when we have more money, more time, more comfort. But the truth is, happiness is not a condition to be met. It is a decision to be made. You don't have to wait until the storm passes to smile. You don't need all your problems solved before you give yourself permission to feel joy. Life will always present challenges, and if you wait for everything to be perfect, you might be waiting forever. Happiness begins when you stop waiting and start choosing. Choosing happiness in difficult times isn't about ignoring reality. It's about reshaping your mindset. It means waking up in the morning and saying, "Today I will look for something good." It means focusing on what you can control instead of being consumed by what you can't. It's about finding moments of peace in chaos and learning to breathe deeply even when the weight on your chest feels crushing. This choice doesn't make the pain disappear, but it changes the way you carry it. When you choose to seek joy, even in the smallest moments, a good cup of coffee, a kind word, sunlight through the window, you begin to build emotional armor. Not to block feelings, but to endure them with grace. Some people wait for life to hand them happiness like a gift, but the most powerful people are the ones who create it for themselves, again and again, despite everything. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for life to become easy. They choose happiness even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Choosing happiness doesn't mean you're faking your feelings. It means you're choosing to move forward with hope. It's not a one-time decision. It's a habit, a discipline, a powerful, quiet act of rebellion against everything that tries to break you. There's a common misunderstanding that if you try to act happy when you're struggling, you're somehow being fake or dishonest with yourself. But that's not true. Forcing yourself to be happy in the darkest moments isn't denial. It's resistance. It's standing tall when life wants you to fall. It's a deliberate act of mental strength, not emotional avoidance. Denial is pretending that your pain doesn't exist. Denial is burying your emotions so deep that they rot inside you. But resistance is different. Resistance is acknowledging that you're in a storm and choosing to build a shelter anyway. Resistance is knowing the weight is real and choosing to push back. Forcing happiness doesn't mean you suppress your sadness or anxiety. It means you refuse to let those emotions take full control of your life. It's the difference between drowning and swimming. You may be surrounded by the same water, but one is survival and the other is surrender. When you force yourself to smile in the mirror after a long night of crying, you're not lying to yourself. You're reminding yourself, this is not the end. When you get up and go for a walk, even though depression is telling you to stay in bed all day, you are not in denial. You are defying the very force that's trying to destroy you. That's courage in its purest form. Think of it like lifting a heavy weight. It's not natural. It's not easy. Your muscles tremble. But the more you lift, the stronger you become. In the same way, forcing yourself to feel a little better, even when it's the last thing you want to do, builds emotional strength. It trains your mind to keep moving, even in the face of pain. And while some may criticize the act of forcing happiness, those who've been through true darkness know this truth. Sometimes the only way out is through. And sometimes the only tool you have left is the will to resist. Choosing to act happy, even when you feel broken, is not weakness. It is defiance. It is you refusing to give in to despair. It is a quiet, invisible battle that no one sees, but it is one of the bravest things a human being can do. When life feels heavy and your heart feels like it's carrying more than it can bear, even the idea of taking action can feel overwhelming. But here's the truth most people overlook. You don't need to make a massive leap to change your life. You just need to take one small step. Small actions may seem insignificant in the face of pain or chaos, but they hold immense power. Waking up and making your bed, taking a shower, going outside for 5 minutes, writing down one thing you're grateful for. These are not just habits. They are acts of rebellion against stagnation, small victories that build momentum in the fight for your mental well-being. When your mind is clouded with anxiety, grief, or exhaustion, even a simple act like brushing your hair or opening a window can feel like climbing a mountain. But doing it anyway sends a powerful message to yourself. I'm not giving up. Each of these small decisions, repeated over time, begins to create a shift, not just in your routine, but in your brain, your energy, your spirit. Psychologically, these small wins begin to activate something called self-efficacy, your belief in your own ability to influence your world. Every action, no matter how small, becomes evidence that you are still in control of some part of your life. That evidence builds resilience, and resilience turns into hope. Think of it like lighting a match in a dark room. One tiny flame doesn't change everything, but it shows you what's around you. It helps you see your next step. Then you light another, and another. Eventually, what felt like darkness begins to fade. We often underestimate the impact of small, consistent choices, but they are the foundation of emotional transformation. Smiling at a stranger, drinking a glass of water, saying thank you, stretching for 5 minutes. These actions seem minor in the moment, but they start to carve a path through the heaviness. Not because they fix everything, but because they remind you, movement is still possible. Change is still possible. Healing doesn't require grand gestures. It begins with micro movements that compound over time. In the end, it's not the dramatic once-in-a-lifetime changes that transform your life. It's the tiny steps you repeat on the hardest days, the quiet habits that whisper, you're still going, you're still fighting. There will be times in your life when everything around you feels dim. The people you relied on might go silent. The path you were following might disappear. The sky might feel grey for days, or even months. But even in that suffocating darkness, you must remember something profound. You have the power to create your own light. You were not born to be at the mercy of your environment. You carry within you the spark of resilience, the fire of will, and the ability to ignite your own inner brightness, no matter how cold or dark the world becomes. That light doesn't always come from external circumstances. In fact, some of the brightest souls on this earth are the ones who learned to shine when there was no sun, no applause, no recognition, no comfort, only silence and pain. Creating your own light means deciding that you won't wait for someone else to come save you. It means learning to speak words of encouragement to yourself when no one else is cheering you on. It's choosing to find beauty in ordinary moments. It's the conscious effort to see possibility where others see hopelessness. That is light, and it comes from you. Maybe it's through art, or helping someone else, or writing your thoughts down. Maybe it's by taking care of your body when your mind is breaking. Maybe it's finding a moment of laughter in the middle of tears. These are all ways of sparking that inner flame. The truth is, life isn't fair. It won't always hand you comfort or clarity. But your light doesn't depend on fairness. It depends on your decision to keep going, to keep creating, to keep choosing meaning over despair. The external world may try to dim you. It may throw storms and shadows across your path, but it cannot take away your ability to respond with light, unless you let it. And your light, no matter how faint, has power. It may begin as a flicker, but it can grow into something others will one day look to for hope. People around you may be struggling too, and your choice to create your own light might become the very beacon someone else needs to keep moving forward. Even when the weight is heavy and the path is unclear, you are still capable of lighting your own way. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've decided not to sit in the dark and wait for someone else to flip the switch. It may sound strange at first, but science, psychology, and real-life experience all support this truth. Sometimes you have to act the way you want to feel, even if it feels completely unnatural in the beginning. This isn't about being fake. It's about using your mind and body to influence your emotional state. It's about recognizing that your thoughts and emotions are deeply connected to your behavior, and that behavior can shape how you feel. When you force a smile, even when you're down, your brain doesn't immediately know the difference. It still interprets that physical act as a signal that things might be okay. And in return, it begins to release feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which can actually improve your mood. This is known as the facial feedback hypothesis, and it proves that the body can lead the mind. Now, this doesn't mean you have to plaster on a fake grin and pretend everything's fine. It means that in moments of despair, when your emotions are dragging you into darkness, you can use small physical actions, smiling, sitting up straight, putting on clothes that make you feel confident, moving your body, to slowly begin changing the emotional current. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about guiding yourself. Think about how a depressed body moves: slow, slouched, heavy. Now think about how a joyful person moves: open, upright, engaged. By mimicking the behaviors of someone who is feeling better, you send signals to your nervous system that can begin to shift your mood. It's like jump-starting a car. It may sputter at first, but eventually the engine catches. This principle applies to more than just smiling. Speak with positivity, even if your voice shakes. Take steps forward, even if you feel like you're crawling. Look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say, "I've got this," even if you barely believe it. Over time, those small moments of acting as if begin to lay the foundation for genuine transformation. It's not a trick, it's a technique. Athletes use it, performers use it, survivors use it, and you can use it too. When the emotions aren't there, you lead with action. You fake the energy, the focus, the calm, and in time, your mind begins to follow. This approach doesn't dismiss your real emotions. It honors them by giving you a way to move through them, not just sit in them. And when practiced consistently, this method becomes a tool of emotional resilience, a way to climb out of the darkness, even if it's one fake smile at a time. When life feels heavy and overwhelming, it's easy to become completely consumed by your emotions. Sadness feels like your identity. Anxiety feels like your future. Anger feels like truth. But one of the most powerful realizations you can ever have is this: you are not your emotions. You are the one witnessing them. Your emotions are real. They are valid. But they are not permanent. And they are not you. They are temporary experiences, like waves passing through the ocean of your mind. Some waves are strong, some are subtle, but none of them define the ocean itself. And you, at your core, are that ocean, vast, deep, powerful, and capable of holding much more than any single emotion. Pain may visit you, but you don't have to let it become your home. You can say, right now I feel broken, but I am not broken. Right now I feel lost, but I am not lost. I am still here. I am still watching. This distance doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you learn to hold space for them without letting them take over. Think of your mind like a sky. Thoughts and emotions are like clouds. They drift in. They drift out. Some are dark, stormy, and heavy. But the sky remains. The sky never disappears. It watches. It holds. It allows the weather to change. But it stays. In the same way, when you stop identifying with your feelings and start observing them, you gain clarity. You gain choice. You gain power. This perspective allows you to say, I'm experiencing sadness, instead of, I am sad. That simple shift in language changes everything. It reminds you that feelings are events, not identities. Just like hunger or tiredness or excitement, they come and go, and just like the seasons, they will pass. This skill of observing instead of reacting is a cornerstone of emotional discipline. It gives you room to breathe when the emotion is loud. It allows you to pause before making decisions you'll regret. It gives you the ability to create space between what you feel and how you act. When life is dark and your heart feels heavy, this inner observer is your anchor. It keeps you from drifting too far into despair. It reminds you that you are the calm beneath the storm, not the storm itself. And when you operate from this awareness, you can move through the most intense emotions with a quiet strength, because you know they are visitors, not your identity. In a world that constantly throws uncertainty, pain, and unexpected burdens your way, choosing happiness, especially when everything feels heavy, is not easy. It's not convenient. It's not always accessible. But when you choose it anyway, it becomes one of the bravest decisions you'll ever make. This choice isn't about ignoring your reality or pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. It's about facing your truth head-on and still choosing to carve out moments of joy, meaning, and light in the middle of it. It's about saying, yes, I'm hurting, but I will not let this pain dictate every part of my life. Courage isn't loud. It doesn't always look like a dramatic fight or a heroic breakthrough. Sometimes it's simply getting out of bed when your soul feels crushed. Sometimes it's choosing to laugh at something silly when grief is still fresh in your chest. Sometimes it's saying thank you when you're falling apart inside. These are not small things. These are acts of quiet, radical courage. Choosing happiness means going against the gravity of despair. It means pushing back against the natural pull to collapse, give in, or become numb. Anyone can smile when life is good. Anyone can feel gratitude when everything's going right. But when you choose to reach for joy when your world is falling apart, that is strength. And this kind of strength isn't taught. It's born from struggle, from experience, from moments when you were on your knees and still reached for hope. Happiness in these times becomes a form of resistance, a declaration that you will not allow pain to strip you of your humanity. There's power in reclaiming your emotional state from the chaos around you. There's defiance in finding light in the darkest places. It's not about being unrealistic. It's about being resilient. Because sometimes happiness is not a reward at the end of healing. It's the tool that helps you survive long enough to heal. This is what many people don't understand. True happiness is not always a feeling. It's often a decision. A bold, intentional decision to anchor yourself in something better, even when everything around you is pulling you downward.